Let's get a feel of what Kisumu thinks about the competency-based curriculum. Simon, over to you.
Well, thank you very much, John, Jacob, Curia, and Regina Manyara, right there in Broadcasting House. Indeed, we are here at Golden Elites. It is an academy, of course, in this part of this county. And we are continuing, of course, with what is happening. The theme of today is to check what is happening, a spot check on exactly what is happening across institutions across this county. And, of course, there are myriad of challenges, especially in public schools, but in most of the private schools that we've actually toured and did spot check, things are slightly different. In this class, we have about 35 learners who are actually using this classroom, but in other areas, and especially public institutions, that will be a totally different situation altogether. However, Regina and Jacob, my focus today is, of course, to get to understand how the teachers are actually adapting to the new curriculum and how they have actually ensured the transition is smooth, so that then the learners can actually get the best out of them. So I'll just talk to about two teachers who have been waiting for us here, so that then they get to give us an insight of exactly how they are feeling about this new transition. And Mwalimu, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, can you kindly introduce yourself?
I'm Onyango Fidel Castro. Yes, a teacher at Golden Elites, teaching junior secondary and also the upper primary.
Mr. Nyango, the transition from the normal 7 subjects to what we're having now, which is about 14 subjects, how has it been for you teachers?
It has been hectic. Personally, if you check initially, when we used to have the 844 system, we used to have 5 subjects or 5 learning areas in the 844 system. And now when you go to the CBC, that is now the grade 6, who now transitioned now to junior secondary, the learning areas have been increased to 14 because we have 12 compulsory learning areas and then 2 optional subjects. So this one, in terms of maybe personnel and also maybe in terms of making the learners adapt to these new learning areas, have been a great challenge, especially the learners who are used to having less learning areas as compared to what they have right now.
The learners, it has been difficult for the learners, as you put it. What about the teachers? Have we had sufficient training so that then we can actually handle the learners and also ensure that we usher in the learners to the new system to the best of our ability?
Yes. In Golden, and when I speak about now as in Golden, we have had in-service training. Since last year, teachers have been inducted about how they're supposed to handle the junior secondary, and they are well prepared. And even if you check at the beginning of this year, we had enough training. And I think our teachers here at Golden, they are really prepared for this, and they were ready. So maybe in terms of, or to the side of the teachers were already prepared because they knew what they are going to meet in the field. Maybe the kids who are now joining us, they were a bit shocked because they thought they will get the same learning areas that they had before. Yes.
In our side chat, yes. in our side, just move this side a bit. In our side chat, you indicated to me that the institution has done quite a lot in terms of ensuring that they build the capacity of the teachers to handle learners and, of course, the new CBC. But you also expressed concern as to how teachers, especially in public institutions, are actually grappling with the new changes.
Yeah, maybe in our spot check, if we compare now the public schools which have been around, if you compare maybe private schools, we have enough resources because we were prepared. We knew very well that this one will require some extra task. Maybe if I just try to compare, maybe sometimes when you talk with our co-teachers who are maybe in public, when they compare maybe our preparedness for this junior secondary and them, then you realize that we are far much ahead of them. In terms, maybe let's take, for example, laboratory. If you go to public schools, you realize that a school maybe some of the public schools are lacking the lab. But with us in junior, in private schools, you realize that the management came up with this early enough.
Early enough and actually prepared.
Yeah.
Where does it put the learners? Where does it put the learners? Because ultimately, they'll be sitting for the same exams. Yes.
Now, this one is a question of who is right and who is wrong. Because if you now see in private school, they already have everything. They are prepared. And it's like you are going to play football, and one team has trained enough, as opposed to the other team which has not yet trained. So how do you think how the two teams play?
Finally, Mwalimu.
Yes.
We have started this new curriculum, right?
Yes.
And we are right into it.
Yeah.
How then do we make it better, in your own opinion, having experienced this first cohort? How do we make it better so that then when you're moving forward, then our children can actually get the best out of us?
Yeah, I think, here I'll talk about now the private schools. I think maybe with how we do it, because we have enough teachers who have been trained. So I think also in other sectors or in other areas, they need to include more in-service training for the teachers so that when they are handling this, because it is a new thing, by the way, and when they are trained, I think they'll be able not to deliver it effectively. Then again, in terms of resources, we need to invest more on resources, because this CBC and junior secondary will require enough. We need these resources so that we effectively deliver. Yeah, without this, then delivery will be poor.
But of course, this is a challenge that you confidently put it, that it is something that can be surmounted.
Yeah, it can be surmounted. If at all we are serious about it, then we can surmount, because there are some resources that you don't need to buy. There are some that we can improvise. There are some that we can prepare early enough. So again, you see, the parental engagement is also another issue, because you realize that when you request for something, assuming, for example, in public school, when they request for something from parents, we might not put it that parents don't know, but maybe they need kind of sensitization so that they know that actually, at the end of the day, this thing will benefit their kids. So if they're not sensitized, then in the long run, it is the kids who are going to suffer, because the teachers maybe might lack that which the parents should have provided if they were sensitized early enough.
Fantastic, Fidel. Of course, I had anticipated that probably we'll have a chance for the second teacher to give his perspective, but of course, we had pressed for time. So I will hand over straight to my colleague, Wycliffe, who is on the other side, so that then he can actually get insight over exactly how the learners are feeling about the new changes and how they're actually coping.